here to discuss one of the pros from your hornbill, that is, We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together by Gordon Cook and Alan East. So, about the writers, first of all, we'll discuss. Gordon Cook was born in December 3rd, 1978, in Toronto. Is a two-time Canadian Olympic sailor. He sails for the Royal Canadian Yacht Club. He is the son of Stephen Cook and Linda Cook. He had a great interest in writing stories. Alan East was admitted to the role of Solicitus in 2003 and has gained extensive experience as a litigator, manager, and legal trainer. In 2010, Alan joined Coventry University as a senior lecturer in law. So the story starts with this. The story We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together is a story of extreme courage and skill exhibited by Gordon Cook, his family, and crewmen in a war with water and waves for survival. In July 1976, the narrator, his wife Mary, son Jonathan, and daughter Suzanne set sail from Plymouth, England to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. They took the voyage in their professionally built ship, the Wave Walker, accompanied by two experienced sailors, Larry Vigil, an American, and Herb Schigler, a Swiss, to tackle one of the world's roughest seas, the Southern Indian Ocean. The first part of the journey, that is about 1,05,000 kilometers up to Cape Town, passed off very pleasantly. On the second day out of the Cape Town, they began to encounter strong gales. Gales did not worry the narrator, but the size of the waves was alarming, up to 15 meters as high as the main mast. On 25th December, the writer's ship was in the southern Indian Ocean, 3,500 kilometers to the east of the Cape Town. The family celebrated their new year on board the ship. At dawn on January 2nd, the waves were gigantic. Unfriendly weather and gigantic waves compelled the sailor to slow down their speed, drop storm jib, and take over precautions. The danger was so obvious that the sailor completed life raft drill, attached lifeliners and life jackets. Suddenly, at 6 p.m., a tremendous explosion shook the Wave Walker, and the author was thrown overboard. The ship was about to capsize when another gigantic wave hit it, tossing it upright once again. The author was thrown back onto the deck, and his head and his ribs smashing against the walls. In spite of his injuries, the narrator took charge of the situation. Somehow he found the wheel, lined up the stem for the next wave, and hung on till Mary appeared and took charge of the wheel. Larry and Herb started pumping out water like madmen. The whole starboard size bulged inwards. The narrator managed to cover canvas across the gaps to prevent water from entering the ship. Then came more problems. Their hand pumps stopped working and electric pumps short circuited. Fortunately, the narrator found a spare electric pump under the chart room that worked. The entire night was spent in pumping, steering, repairing, and sending radio signals. The narrator checked charts and calculated that Isle Amsterdam, a French scientific base, was their only hope. Sue and John was injured, but they said that they were not afraid to die if they could all be together. Sue's head was swollen and she had a deep injury The narrator became more determined seeing his children's courage. Finally, they reached Isle Amsterdam, a volcanic island where they were welcomed by 28 inhabitants. Thus, the collective strength and never falling optimism of the sailor made it possible for them to come out of the jaws of death. Though Jonathan and Susan did not do anything to save the wave walker, but their courage, forbearance, faith, and optimism gave extra strength and persistence to the narrator and his team. The bravery of the strong willed children is noteworthy in the story. So, coming to the highlighted points, children, the narrator, with his wife Mary and two children, Jonathan and Susan, set sail from Plymouth, England, to duplicate the round the world voyage made by Captain James Cook 200 years ago. Second point, Wave Walker, a professionally built boat, had been tested for months in the roughest weathers. Next, the initial period of the 3 year planned journey priced to be quite pleasant. Next point, American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Schigler joined them at Cape Town to help them tackle one of the world's roughest seas, the southern Indian Ocean. Next point, the weather began to deteriorate and the crew experienced strong winds and huge waves. Next, at dawn on January 2nd, the waves were gigantic. The crew members tried to slow down the boat, prepared for an impending disaster. Later in the evening, a tremendous wave wrecked the boat, throwing the narrator into the sea. Then he was tossed back in the boat. However, he was badly injured. Realizing that the boat had taken in water in its lower parts, he instructed Mary to take the wheel and then went below deck. Larry and Herb pumped out the water that had accumulated in the boat. The narrator made some repairs and began waterproofing the gaping holes. The family managed to survive for 15 hours, but the narrator knew that Wave Walker would not hold it for long. The narrator made some calculations and found two small islands. They hoped to reach the nearest island, Ile Amsterdam, a French scientific base, soon. However, their relief was short lived. The weather deteriorated and their situation again became hopeless. Jonathan's fearlessness filled the narrator with determination and courage to fight the sea. Fortunately, they managed to find Ile Amsterdam. That evening, it felt like the most beautiful island they have ever seen. That is the end of this prose, children. I have discussed everything about this prose. Thank you and have a great day.